Greetings, sci-fiction awesomeness. My name is Owen C. Cotter, and if you're watching this broadcast, we are simulcasting on YouTube, I believe X, Twitch, and Facebook. We'd like to thank you to today's show. It's been a long week, and I have been traveling, about to travel some more. We're ready to rock and roll with you, the fans, always having a pleasure of the sci-fi awesomeness. I want to bring up some stuff. Today's guest we're going to have joining us here in about 15 minutes is none other than Emmy Award Winning writer and producer, Marc Guggenheim. So get ready to see Marc going to be on here the show shortly. We'll be bringing you a screen here. I'll just say, go over what he is, got a little bit of cliff notes and what he does, rather. Here we go. This, if you can see it, there it is Marc Guggenheim. He's done a lot of stuff a lot of fans may know him from. Such things as Arrow on CW, including Legends of Tomorrow, Green Lantern with Ryan Gosling, Percy Jackson, Sea of the Monsters, all of the things you could ever imagine. He also done a lot of stuff in comic books. This is all the stuff here he's done in comics, quite extensive. Matter of fact, what we're talking with him about today is a new comic he is working on. And this new comic, I'm going to let him tell you more about it. But it's like a sci-fi detective thriller, futuristic, set in the future. And it's super cool. I can't talk much about it. I'll let him tell you what he can. So that's going to be here shortly. Let me turn off the screen share. If you're watching this on the internet, we are on pretty much every channel. X, YouTube, not TikTok. They won't let you plug it in here yet. Twitch and Facebook. And also, if you're listening to this, we're on Subspace Radio Network. We usually air this on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. CST Eastern times 8 p.m. and Pacific is 5 p.m. So those are the different time slots. If you want to listen to on Subspace Radio Network, part of the part of the Federation, actually. Let me go to their site real quick. Promote this if you're watching this via video. Let's see what we got. Here you go. So you have to type. There's a sub thing here. There it is. All right, I have the link saved. There you go. So the Subspace Radio Network is on trekfederation.com/subspace and Dare to Wonder. So if you go to Subspace Radio Network on Ask Alexa or Google Play, there's actually an app called Subspace Radio Network too, where you can listen to the radio all day long, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We'll be bringing on Marc here shortly. I want to go over a few news items that we have. Lots of news coming out. Gearing up for the summer too. Well, technically the winter, then the summer. Everything's in motion. Here we go. I think that's on there. There you go. All right, cool. So lots of news items. One thing I want to lead with first, I actually have a buddy who I represent as his agent, and he has some amazing stuff you might know or have heard of, the Stokerverse. This is the Dracula the Return. They've got 1 issue, 2 issue, all the art. It's a huge write-up we did here on SciFiction.com, so I highly recommend checking that out. A lot of other stuff he's working on, like such down here is this article here is interesting. He's also was just published by Pen and Sword, which is super, super cool. So I thought that I would share that. There's a lot of other news. We got this cool article here, 15 essential Star Wars animation episodes to watch before Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord. That is a long title, but I like it. We've got the 2026 Saturn Award nominations full list revealed. They released this the other day. I mean, it's just the best of the best. and we're only looking for one, like in Men in Black. It's everything you can imagine. It's just all the goodies, some of the best assembly of pop culture, sci-fi, horror, fantasy talent. I mean, it goes and goes and goes. Looks better when you got it on a certain type of monitor. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And then we've got, these are comic articles here. Go back to the news items here. So we've got The Maul Shadow Lord, the author, my buddy Chris McCauley, signed by prestigious militaries. 2026 Saturn Award nominations. Prime Video announces more cast members for God of War. So we know every single cast member and actor that's being cast in this television series on Prime Video. Go to this article here. Prime Video announces more cast members for God of War. And then we got one other item here. Let me see what here. Yeah, Peter Parker. Now he's turned into Carnage. So yeah, there you go. It's pretty darn cool. Don't spoil that, but that's going to be really neat. And then of course, this one's pretty cool. 6 Marvel heroes who stand no chance against Darkseid. And there's some interesting ones on there. Some of you probably would think of, some of you probably wouldn't. See what else we get. I mean, it's just tons of stuff. We've been pumping out content. We're doing like triple the fold of content now each week. So if you've seen a lot of stuff come out on socials, I don't know about the algorithm. Sorry. We try and trickle those out very, very, very slowly, so you get the best of the best, but not in just one big dose. So, but yeah, they've got a lot of stuff going on, as you can see, in the pop culture and the sci-fi world. I want to go over right quick before we bring on Mark. There's some information on his book, actually, on if you hear somebody knock, it's a secret package. Not from Santa. And the Whisper War, they have an Amazon page, which will be linked in the description on the social media. But wanted to talk about the Whisper War. There you go. Let's see. I might type this as Crawford. So I'm just getting something up here while we're waiting on Mark. There it is. Okay, beautiful. Here we go. Replace sharing. So here we go. This is the book we're going to be talking about today. And let's see. Right here. There you go. This is the Whisper War #1. Issue #1. It will be on sale. It comes out and debuts February 10th if you're looking at the description on social media. And I don't know what time on February 10th, but February 10th, 2026. It is a sci-fi, kind of like a detective noir, futuristic, kind of like not Blade Runner, totally different, but it's kind of in a cyberpunk sci-fi universe. It's on a planet, actually. In Primata's capital city of Aperex, a murder has been committed, and Axel Jandari has been selected to lead an investigation. No one suspects, no forensics, no theories, only Axel's intuition. This is a really cool book. I actually got to read it, but I can't talk about it because it hasn't been released, but we can talk to Mark about it. And that's what I'm excited to talk with him about, amongst all the other sci-fi goodies. My name is Owen C. Cotter. If you're watching this on SciFiction, on all channels, YouTube, X, Twitch, Facebook, and Subspace Radio Network, put on by the Federation. Federation is the longest running Star Trek charity organization that does a lot of outreach and really a lot of cool stuff. But they also have Subspace Radio Network, where all the sci-fi goodies are on audio version. Go over a few more items here. Wanted to share something else. This is pretty cool. This is really good. You're going to love this. So comic books, we've got a lot of comic book stuff we cover, as you know. There's a new comic book. See if here it is right here. Bring this up here for you. Before we talk, my name is Owen C. Cotter. You are watching SciFiction. This is what I would like to show you. So we got this thing here. It's another comic book universe that I'm a part of. I'm working on promoting. If you go to the site, go to scifiction.com, and it's called The Hit Squad. This is a Ghost Protocol military sci-fi that we're working on. So I highly recommend checking that out and going, of course, to scifiction.com for all your sci-fi news and envisioning a positive future. We try and produce quality content. We don't do a lot of horror. We do more. If we do, it's like Dracula comics or Aliens and Predator, but that's more like thriller, sci-fi, and space. But we do a lot of sci-fi and video games, pretty much any other subgenre of pop art. We just try and stay away from the really horrible stuff, whatever that may be. See what we got here. There's that. And we're back. This thing's working a little differently. I don't know if you can see me like in two mirrors or if it's going quicker for me and slower for y'all. Might be the signal. It looks like I'm full bars, 2 bars, 3 bars. We're on 3 bars. So I'm getting some questions coming in here too. I had a few people submit questions today for this particular broadcast last minute. So I'll be patient with me. And some people have been calling too. So I have to return their calls. If you're watching this on Facebook, we are just kicking it tight, having a good time. Anybody want to ask questions to Mark when he joins the broadcast? Feel free to. We've got a lot of things we can maybe slip in there, but beyond the questions that have been submitted. Let me see something. We're going to go to captions now. We're going to chat window, matter of fact. All right, cool. Yeah, we're just waiting on Mark to join us. My name is Owen C. Cotter. You're listening to this on Subspace Radio Network, and the Federation is thank you that you are. Thank you so much. X, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook streaming simulcasting. And it's tasty. That is like the goldenest freaking juice you'll ever have in your life. It's like grapefruit juice mixed with some kind of, I don't know what it is. It's really, really good. But my buddy, want to shout out to Barrios. He got me this super cool futuristic, like hand blown, like I don't know what's crystal or whatever it is, but you can put whatever you want in it, and it's the best thing ever. It's just like it's curved to your hand. It's totally cool. Thank you, Barris, for the gift. Much appreciated holiday gift. The amount of science fiction and pop culture that's coming out these days is quite fathomable. I mean, we were watching. I don't know if anybody's seen the Fallout television series. If so, let me know in the comments or just email me about it. Absolutely amazing series. They just wrapped season 2, and I was excited they got renewed for season 3. So that's really, really cool. If you have not seen the series, if you like, the video games by Bethesda, I highly recommend checking out the television series. It's worth it. I mean, it's got some really interesting characters. The plot's cool. I mean, what can you not like about that? I mean, the show's amazing. You got the all-star cast. Walton Goggins is hilarious, in my opinion. And a very interesting and very deep character. There's a character there that's gone through a lot. So if you haven't seen the series, I highly recommend checking it out. We've got one more thing I wanted to show y'all before we get ready to see if Mark joins us here. It's probably in 3 minutes. All these screens, man. There's so many tabs open here. Let's see what we got here. Okay. It's down. Actually, we programmed it in not news, so it's in the video game section. Hold on a second. This is pretty cool. Speaking of Fallout, we got the best Fallout games ranked best to worst. Here, this Fable game. So this Fable game is going to be massive. It's a huge Fable reboot, and it's about Albion. This game I've been hearing a lot of stuff about. So if y'all have not checked this out, the developer direct was on January 22nd. We have another named article on here. Let's see. It's not the same name, but let's see. Fable. Masters of, that's another game though. I think we have that one will not be out till tomorrow on the 7th, that article. That's probably why it has not been posted. But that's the game that everybody's looking forward to, as well as that Halo article I just showed y'all. Just waiting here for Mark. Who's your favorite sci-fi character that just came out, like in Fallout, or who might it be? Feel free to comment or drop us a message. Because I've got about 4. There's so many cool characters. I mean, there's just so many. Unbelievable amount of cool sci-fi out these days. And fantasy and horror and anything and everything. I mean, there's tons. Yeah, that new series, the one with it's coming out. God, man, what's the name of it? There's so many series, but it's like a time machine series or something like that. Also, they have Stargate, not to be confused. Stargate is coming back, which we were excited about. We actually have an article on that here that we posted. Just type Stargate right there. Close this window here. And we are back. Heck yeah, dude. It's awesome. Getting everything ready here for Mark to join us. My name is Owen C. Cotter. We have a lot of questions. We probably don't have time for all these questions, so I've condensed them down to about, a handful or so. But we also are open to any questions that you have here in the comments. So if you want to drop one, you can drop it in any of these channels on YouTube, X, Twitch, or Facebook. So you have the floor, fans. Feel free to ask questions because we have a limited amount of time. We're probably about 40, 50 minutes. Well, 50 text, technically 50, but we have 40 more. So I only have him for about 40 minutes today, but there is a lot of things we need to go over, especially his new book, which is absolutely amazing. I just got to check it out without spoiling any of it. It's good. That's all I can say. But it's an amazing book. I really recommend you checking it. There's going to be more issues, it looks like. I think this is issue 1. Of course, there's probably more issues. Yeah, it's beautiful artwork, too. And it reminds me of a lot of the super, like it has that look, that detective noir kind of cyberpunk sci-fi look. It's very cool. We've got we got several people on board here. Activate this. Activate thrusters. There's the comments there. We'll let that sit because we have not had anyone ask just yet. It's only been live a very short period of time. Everybody pour in here. If you're watching this on X, we love you. Thank you so much for the follows. We've been getting a little bit of follows there on and off on there. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, Facebook as well. And thank you, YouTube. Trying to get some more followers on YouTube. It's a hard one. They changed that whole trending thing. So if you like what we like and you like what I like, and maybe you'll see us recommended or trended somewhere in there. X, Twitch. That's one we don't really usually stream to that much, but Twitch is getting to be something we're looking at. We predominantly are on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, but of course we can't integrate yet just yet. Facebook is our predominant source as well as the site for just the views on these videos and all the other goodies. But one thing we're working on while I've got everybody here is some upgrades to the site that we may be even able to turn it into its own show. So when you go to the site, it is a show, and some other special algorithmic awesome features. I think Mark is here in the Quantum Leap waiting room. Let me activate him. Mark, how's your day going, sir?
Oh, it's good. It's good. Thanks for having me on. I
No
appreciate
problem. No problem. We've just been talking with the fans. We've got people emailing me. We got buzzing people. Have some questions they've actually submitted as well.
Awesome. Love that. Love that. That's great.
Yeah, this is an honor to talk to you. I went over your bio this morning. I'm like, I know that show. I know this show. I know this. So
Thank
can you?
you.
No problem. Can you tell everybody just a brief kind of cliff notes about who you are and what do you do in the world of pop culture and sci-fi and beyond?
Yeah. I sort of like to describe myself as a jack of all trades, master of none. I write TV and film and comic books and novels and video games and kind of, just like telling stories in a variety of different mediums.
You've done a lot of stuff. DC's really cool. I like Legends of Tomorrow. That show was very cutting edge. Very
Thanks.
cutting
That
edge.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah. What Arrow, like what's all the seasons, I guess, right?
I was show running up through season 4, co-show running with Phil Klemmer, and then I took a step back and just consulted in seasons 5 through 7.
Yeah, season 1, I remember seeing that. And it was like it just takes you right out of the gate, man, into the whole world of Arrow. And the show got to be really crossovers too, I believe, with the Flash and Legends of Tomorrow and all that.
The crossover.
I'm doing it. I'll bet those sets are amazing too on Legends of Tomorrow.
They are. It's really. I love the Wave Rider set. I miss it.
Yeah, I hope we get to see more of that universe. The questions while we have you.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about your new comic, first off, what is a little bit about, like just the general cliff notes? What is the comic about?
Well, the Whisper War is basically I was interested in doing a sci-fi story that started out like Blade Runner, like a small noir contained mystery, but then grows and becomes something like Star Wars, which is like a galactic battle. And I wanted to see if I could do that move in 5 issues. And fundamentally, it's really about the idea that one war begets another. Like World War II only happened because of World War I. And oftentimes conflicts are the result of the invention of a new technology. Yeah. And in this case, the new technology is time travel.
Mm-hmm. So that being said, the comic is based on time travel, correct?
Yeah, I mean it's a very different kind of time travel story. It's not a conventional like go back in time or go forward in time type of thing. It's really more the idea that time travel is revealed to exist, and we see that it's actually been
Mhm.
affecting everything we've been reading.
Okay, that brings us to the first question. The Whisper War blends sci-fi noir and mystery in a world where history itself has been erased.
Yeah.
What drew you to the idea of memory and the absence of it as the emotional and narrative engine of this story?
I'll tell you, I backed into it not through the idea of memory, but rather, really, like I said, sort of through the idea of not just time travel, but
Mhm.
technologies, new
Technology.
technologies. I wrote the first issue of this, came up with the idea during the Writers Guild strike in 2023.
Okay. Okay.
And if you sort of think of a labor action as a type of war, the 2023 Writers Guild strike was very much in reaction to the technologies that emerged right after the 2007 Writers Guild
Mhm.
strike.
We got the AI stuff and all the art and the digital
AI
stuff
and just even like streaming, the change of television to streaming. Um,
changed, really changed like over the last 20, 30 years with the cable providers, and now you got streaming, and it's getting different.
It's every. I mean, I've kind of now seen it all. I've been writing professionally for 25 years, so I've seen a lot of different, industry changes. But I just, doing a comic book about, streaming residuals and data sharing and span protection is not exactly the most interesting subject matter. So I thought,
Right.
well, instead the technology isn't, streaming if the technology is time travel.
Right. That's actually a very interesting take. It's different than Blade Runner, where it deals with no time travel. You've mentioned this in the first time you wrote a comic specifically for. Excuse me. You've mentioned this is the first time that you wrote a comic specifically for a particular artist.
Yeah.
How did tailoring the story to the artist's visual strengths change your creative process compared to your past comic art? And his name is hard to pronounce. What is that artist's name? Sadeh
Sadat Ocean.
Sadat. Oh yeah, make sure I get it right. So
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
you
German.
talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, basically, it's funny. Normally the creator-owned books I do
Mhm.
are either come about because the artist and I have talked about a certain idea,
Mhm.
or I've written something first and then went and found the artist to draw it. And my work for hire comic book work is typically a situation where it's an assignment from Marvel or DC, and I'm assigned an artist,
Right.
and sometimes I'm assigned the artist before I write the script. Other times it's afterwards. In the case with Sadat, that was a situation where he and I were talking about doing a creator-owned book together,
Okay.
and I had access to his portfolio, so I got to know what he likes to draw. When it left to his own devices, what does he draw? So I kind of just started thinking about this story in terms of those visuals, in terms of the types of visuals that are really sort of near and dear to Sadat's heart. So it was a fun way of working.
So you kind of picked through his work and saw what he liked, and then
Yeah.
had some idea for yourself that you may like, and then pulled that. That's collaborative
Yeah,
effort.
it was super collaborative, really organic, very, very easy, really. But
That's cool.
a lot of fun to do.
So which brings us to our next question. You've worked across television, film, animation, games, and comics. What does the Comixology Originals format allow you to do with the Whisper War that other mediums simply don't?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, like, I don't. What I love about Comixology is that it's not reinventing the format, and
Mhm.
it's not reinventing the medium. It's just basically Comixology is just a digital publisher. They're just what's really great about them is they really give me a lot of creative freedom. I'm kind of, I'm they haven't pushed back on anything I've tried to do for them, and that's nice. I mean, that's a rare thing these days. You don't, especially when it's a publisher that's owned by a big corporation like Amazon. Typically, you get a lot more kind of oversight. Like you can do that, you can't do that, you can say this, you can't say that. But they've been amazing. I've just been able to go as crazy as I want to go.
I think the reason I was recently watched the documentary on Jeff Bezos.
Mm.
If I had to guess, the reason they're not so strict with literature, he originally created, of course, Amazon 4 books. So maybe there's something there with that. Who knows?
I think so. I also think, having done a TV show for Amazon, I know that Bezos is he's a real genre fan. He really likes sci-fi and fantasy. So maybe that helps a little bit.
It's got the Starship Enterprise in the lobby of the building or something like that.
He's a true nerd. So at least you've got that sort of fundamental commonality. But they've let me run wild.
You've got this character in the book, like the lead character, Axel Jindari, is a retired investigator pulled back in by instinct and deja vu rather than evidence. What interested you in telling a detective story where intuition replaces forensics, and how does that shape the mystery?
Well, I mean, it's funny. I got my start as a writer, in television, writing a lot of procedurals. I
Yes.
worked on The Practice, and then Law and Order, especially, and CSI Miami, and I love murder mysteries, and I love mysteries in general. The problem is sometimes the forensic stuff kind of, it ties your hands a little bit.
Right. I call it the Sherlock Holmesian
Yeah,
motif.
it makes it for a very specific way of writing. And then again, it's a way that I enjoy, but I kind of like the idea of taking advantage of the sci-fi setting to tell a mystery that was different, that didn't rely on fingerprints and
It's
ballistics.
already been done. This is clever, creative, different than just regular stuff.
Thanks. It's a lot of fun for me. It's a lot of fun because one of the things I always try to do with my creator-owned comic book work is really kind of work outside of the line, color outside the line, do some things that I can't really do in TV or film.
Right. It's creative storytelling, if it ever was, and it is. The Shattered Realm. This is an interesting question that was submitted. They say the Shattered Realm is defined by a catastrophic civil war that no one remembers. Was this world inspired by real world conflicts, or is it more of a reflection of how societies choose what to remember and forget?
Well, kind of like I said, it was inspired by real world conflicts like World War One and World War Two, and again, if you sort of choose to think of a strike, a labor action as a conflict, which I certainly do, then for sure. I mean, the Writers Guild strike in 2023 really loomed very large for me as I was writing this. One of because of the strike, I wasn't writing any TV or film, so it was Whisper War was like one of the only things I was writing.
So this was literally birthed from that juncture point, like you said.
Yeah, pretty much. I started breaking out the story and thinking of the concept and writing the first issue while the strike was going on.
Let's talk about that for a second. So you're talking about it being birthed from that. This extra question here that was submitted is actually pertaining to that. The Whisper War unfolds in a future shaped by trauma no one can consciously remember. Do you see this story as a warning about what happens when truth is buried, or as a hopeful reminder that truth has a way of resurfacing? That's a mouthful.
Both actually. I think the axiom that those who don't remember history are condemned to repeat it, I think is absolutely true.
Yes.
I also think that recovering memories and being mindful of the past are things that are kind of desperately needed right now. We've as a society, it's amazing, especially in America. Like we've really perfected. I think COVID sort of taught us we can put up with anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, honestly, I feel like that's both good and bad, right? It's wonderful to know that you've got that resilience. But the problem with putting up with anything is you literally become like the frog in the pot, where it's like, temperature's getting hotter, but I can't handle it because, I handled fucking lockdown. So, and as a result, the things that should outrage us and have us, quite frankly, taking to the streets in protest, those things don't have the same effect that they used to. because we just are like, oh, well, we can handle it, so let's just handle it. It's our pain thresholds basically, I think,
Been numbed.
it's been raised too high.
Right. This is a cool question, I thought. Having written iconic franchises like Star Wars and X-Men alongside creator-owned work, what kind of creator freedom did the Whisper War give you, and how did that freedom influence the risk you were willing to take with the story? And I have a little side on that. What do you plan to do in the next issues? Can you let us to know, like, maybe some things to look out for? I guess that as well.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, I'll take that part first. One of the things I introduce in in a subsequent issue is something called the algo, which
Yes.
is
Yes.
sort of short for the algorithm, and basically it's the idea that AI and the algorithm, which in Hollywood that's the idol at which
Right.
everyone worships. I sort of took that and that notion that people are sort of worshiping the algorithm and really sort of took it literally, and basically built a religion around it. And the idea of like a religion that worships AI, I felt was both interesting and probably sadly very prescient.
It's a lot of stuff that's going to rise up in the future of all this stuff for sure. For sure.
Yeah, you
I,
can't avoid it.
I can't. But thank you so much. But I don't know how much time we got. Like 10 minutes or so, maybe 15 minutes actually, or somewhere in there. I want to ask you, in your own life, being able to be said that you've worked on Star Wars and DC and Marvel, are there any things just you would love to put your work into that you haven't done?
That's a good question. It's kind of funny. I'll answer the question with an anecdote. So like in December or November of last year, I was doing a comic book convention in Detroit, and someone brought up a bunch of comic books that I wrote at the beginning of my career, like 20 years ago, and it really got me thinking. I've kind of done everything I've set out to do. It's not like I want to stop, but I was like, oh yeah, that box I've checked off. That box I've checked off. I would say, I've written, Star Wars and I've written Marvel. I would love to do something with Star Wars or Marvel in the live action space.
Okay.
That's something that remains like a hill that I haven't climbed.
We have a mega size galactic portion size of our fan base loves Star Wars, so I'm sure they'd love to see you take part in those. Awesome. Then there's like what 3 new series: Ahsoka season 2.
Yeah,
And then
there's a lot. I mean,
the Mandalorian Grogu movie. Excuse me, not that series.
They're doing a lot. Yeah, so I'd love to explore Star Wars in live action. That would be a great deal.
Very cool.
That's a big bucket list item for me.
That Dave Filoni and what's his name, John Favreau did an amazing job in the series, man.
Yeah, no, they've absolutely done a great job. I'm really thrilled about Filoni taking over Lucasfilm.
Me too.
Not
because of either way. I'm just saying. I think he's George Lucas's protege. I mean, the guy is.
Well, he also, I really, it's funny. Like, I think Ahsoka didn't get enough props for, it felt to me like the most George Lucas like.
Right. Oh yeah, sure.
Star Wars since George left. But also I really liked all the new ideas. I mean, spoiler alert, like they go to a whole new galaxy, like that's amazing. And I really
that big hyper ring thing that they docked this.
Yeah. It made me feel in all the good ways like, oh, like Star Wars is big, but it can always get bigger. Right. You can always push the frontier of Star Wars, and I feel like that's what should happen. Star Wars should always, rather than looking back to the past for stories, I feel like Star Wars should be expanding outward through the galaxy and outward through time, and always sort of be moving forward. And I really like that aspect of Ahsoka quite a bit. Everyone sort of talks about like Thrawn and
it's cool to see him in live action, man.
All cool, but I really like the new stuff. I like the new territory.
Andor. What'd you thoughts on Andor?
Well, I love Andor. I mean, honestly, Andor is not just great Star Wars, it's great television. I also happen to be just completely in the tank for Tony Gilroy.
All those characters are amazing in this. Diego's just
Oh,
boom.
well, the cast is absolutely spectacular. The cast is phenomenal. The story is ridiculously prescient. I mean, I defy anyone to watch season 2 of Andor and not recognize what's going on in Minnesota right now. And the
real life Star Wars, but stuff not in space. Well, in space.
Yeah. I mean, well, and by the way, I think a lot of people, it's funny, like, Star Wars is 50 years old now, and I think a lot of people have sort of, forgotten the fact that Star Wars, there are elements of politics in the original trilogy. I mean, George was very influenced by the outcome of the Vietnam War, the rise of communism, and the threat that posed to freedom. There's a lot of political stuff and history stuff in Star Wars' DNA, which is something
mirrors like reality.
Totally, and was inspired by reality, inspired by history.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. On the flip of the coin was Star Trek. If you go back and look through the last, this 60th year this year?
Yeah,
got 50 Star Wars, 60 Star Trek. If you go back and look through not just the early stuff, but even stuff like season 3 of Enterprise,
sure.
the Xindi War. We know what that was.
Well, that was very 9/11. That was totally inspired by, and I think that's always the best. The best sci-fi has always been inspired by actual events.
For sure.
And the advantage of sci-fi is you can hold a mirror up to society and tell stories that are considered "quote unquote" political, without offending
the lens of science fiction as like the focal point.
Yeah. I think it's one of the reasons why I love sci-fi so much. And I love Star Wars and I love Star Trek. They're just very, very different, franchises. I love, like everyone, I get tickled by the idea that Star Trek has become really woke, where Star Wars has become really woke. And it's like, have you watched the original movies or the original episodes? Like,
which one? You mean Star Trek, you mean?
Both, actually. I mean, Star Trek in particular, because because of the original series, but even Star Wars, like the idea, even the Star Wars franchise, the original trilogy, it's like there's a lot of there's diversity, there's female empowerment, there's a lot of things in there.
Princess Leia is like the female lead if there ever was one. Yeah,
totally. So I kind of laugh when people sort of describe Star Wars or Star Trek as being woke, as if they haven't always been.
Right, they've always been pioneering, and it's just going to continue and continue and continue. As I think Gene Roddenberry said that, not me.
No, absolutely.
I was watching a documentary where Lucas was talking about if it wasn't for Star Trek, there would have never been Star Wars, because Star Trek was the little engine that could, and they keep going on. So I mean, it's just a linear progression.
And you can make an excellent argument that if not for Star Wars, the Star Trek franchise wouldn't have continued, because it was Star Wars that made the Star Trek the motion picture possible.
So there must be some in space, some intergalactic momentum here that propelled this here, that propelled that there. Warp drive, we don't know.
My absolute dream project would be to do a Star Wars, Star Trek crossover.
Oh, wow.
If for no other reason, then I just want to write a sequence where Han Solo is piloting the Enterprise and Hikaru Sulu is piloting the Millennium Falcon.
That's cool. Did you see the guy that did that? It's AI, but it's really, really cool looking. They put Kirk out of retirement in the cantina, goes to meet with Han Solo.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen that.
And then he shows him this top secret recording on like a pad. And it's got, I don't know who did this, but you need to be commended for this. It shows a Borg cube blowing up the Death Star. And it's like, that thing took out a Death Star. And that's part 1. So find part like 5 and 6 and everything else on, I think it's on Instagram and TikTok. We didn't create that. I don't know who created that, but it was just amazing. It's a very addictive watch, and you can watch it just it needs to be its own series. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Crazy.
So I want to find out. I know we have you for a few more minutes, about 5, I think, or so. Where do people find this comic? When does it come out? Where do they find it on Comixology? Where do they find it? Is it Amazon?
Very easy. You go to first of all, it's coming out on Tuesday, the 10th, February 10th, and you just go to you can go to comixology.com if you want, but you can also go to just Amazon. Just type in the search box Whisper War, it'll pop right up.
Very cool.
And you don't need a special app. You can read it on your Kindle. Or through your Kindle app. Like I read all my comic books, through the Kindle
Better
app.
with the app, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. Well, it depends. I mean, for comic books, for sure. For comic books, for sure. Like the way I read is the Kindle app on my iPad. But you can read it on your phone. They have the panel by panel, reading approach if you want. And when it's all said and done, we'll probably do a traditional, print run through another publisher as well. But
they're going to do a digital and a physical. Do you think there'll be an omnibus if they're like together, like a?
We're going to do we're actually going to do a digital collection, and I have a feeling that if we do a print run, it'll be a trade paperback.
Very cool. That's awesome. I want to thank you for joining us. I also want to ask you one bonus question, which we ask this sometimes. Sure. What does pop art, sci-fi, and all this awesomeness mean to you?
From your perspective? Honestly, it kind of means everything. I've always, ever since I was a little kid, I loved comic books and science fiction and fantasy and this whole sort of universe of universes is, it's central to kind of who I am, so it's a part of me that's never gone away. I've never lost interest in it.
That's absolutely what I would say myself. I agree with you on that. I very wholeheartedly do. I want to thank you, Mark, for joining the broadcast. I want to thank you, the fans. This will be airing on, I believe, coming up Wednesday, 7 p.m. CST on Subspace Radio Network. Thank you so much, Mark. You have a good night, okay?
Thank you. You too. Take care.
Peace, brother.
Actually don't know how to get out. I'm trapped.
Oh.